The MX-5s at Homestead, again, it's not the first time we've pulled this gag, and it probably won't be the last. These things are going to fly around this racetrack. They're probably going to fly through the air. Who knows? We do it because we can, because it's fun, because we love racing. 50 laps on offer tonight for the Mazda MX-5s. Shout out Infraction Music for the tunes before the race here. We've got, what, 15 cars on offer, ready to go racing, ready to sacrifice themselves for the love of motorsport. Tanner Lockhart's in the chat. Dude, I was just thinking about you the other day. Thank you so much for gracing the stream with your presence. The green flag is out, and we're racing at Homestead. This is what the whole race is going to look like. If this makes you uncomfortable, how about this instead? Any more comfortable? This is the race right here. This is what we're going to see for the next 50 some odd laps here, with the weather dialed up to 8x, because why not? And these cars separated by not tenths, not hundredths, thousandths of a second. Matt Seeger, Aaron Edwards, Donald Ray, they've decided, sure, why not? We'll play for first. It means absolutely nothing right now. 50 laps, and these guys are already racing like this. Seeger in the 16 Yoshi machine on the outside of Aaron Edwards, who went sailing through the air. I love that Yoshi machine with the Mazda on the back. That's actually pretty creative. And from one video game to another, Tommy Withers in that number 6 Sonic machine, now up the left-hand side, trying to do some sort of damage, trying to get just a little bit closer, perhaps. But again, it could be the drivers at the back that have the right idea. How about Hollywood's Ryan Pannell? Not Hollywood, California, Hollywood, Florida, a little neighborhood of Fort Lauderdale, and then, by and large, Miami. The number 2 ARC's Mazda MX-5 forms the back end of that threesome on the high lane, sandwiching the Bahamian Elridge George. This is his home track. Bossy Gio, for those that know. From Nassau in the Bahamas, just a short sail away from the shores of South Florida. He sits second in line. If you just tuned in, you have not missed a thing. This is what they're looking like now. This is what they're going to be looking like 46 laps from now. Chaos, but with style. The Mazda MX-5s. Putting on a good show so far. I mean, you've got to love the 3-wide racing, but really now we're just almost waiting for someone to crash. And as hilarious as that is, that's what this is going to lead to. Looks like Landon Marr in the back blinking in the Buc-ee's machine. Yeah, that's him. Jimmy Kerr III up ahead in that 7.5. He's on the tail end of one of these lines. Let's go on board with him. Almost starting to spread out. You see the bottom line just moving along faster. I mean, it is a shorter route around the racetrack. So I'm not sure if the cars on the top end are just not getting enough grip. They're not moving fast enough. But again, drivers want to avoid bump drafting each other because they could cause a wreck. Who wants to cause a crash, right? So right now, it just seems time to sit back, relax, and see what they can do here. The Drip Diecast and Collectibles track facts will tell you approximately 25 laps is what they're going to do on a tank of fuel. And we'll see just how far they can make it. Probably more, because they're bump drafting. Coming into this race, Nicholas Pressey visits Homestead as your points leader. However, he is absent from tonight's festivities, and it's going to leave a hole in his lead. And I don't think he's... I mean, he's only 5 points ahead of Donald Ray. However, Donald Ray is in this race. Keep in mind, the points go from 10 points at the top all the way to 1 point down at the bottom. So everybody from 10 on down scores 1 point. What Donald Ray has to do is finish 6th or better, and Donald Ray will take over the points lead going into next week at Monza. And it's not just Monza in any configuration. We're taking the chicanes out. So it's the Formula One circuit as we know it, with no chicanes. So going around the Parabolica, still full throttle. And then they're removing the second chicane. And I have no idea what's going to happen. I really don't. But we're doing it because we can. Because the MX-5s are a blast. This racing is unbelievable. Aaron Edwards still leading the parade from the front of this race. .11 laps in, and still, literally anybody's game. They continue to go around the racetrack 3 wide. Colin McDonough in the number 39 sticker robot machine. Just kind of biding his time at the back, and you expect drivers to do this. This is going to be the game. Who's going to maintain their stuff, but all this bump drafting is going to destroy the front end of the car. Let's have another look from the back of Aaron Edwards. It's going to be Tommy Withers behind him in the Sonic machine. And you just saw the front bumper of that Sonic car. Tommy Withers in the 6th. Just the front bumpers. You can see it's damaged, and now you wonder what that's going to do to the top speed of the race car. Matt Seeger, on the other hand, in the Yoshi machine. He's been at the front for the majority of his race. His car seems pristine. Donald Ray, on the other hand, conservative with the bump drafting. Not a lot of damage on the front. Will the amount of contact they're making with each other eventually cause a problem? We're going to find out But we've also got pit stops coming in the next 10 laps, so I'm really excited to see just who makes the most of their race cars. And if we have green flag pit stops, drivers are not obligated to use the access road in turn 3 and 4. However, they could be faced with speeding penalties as well. But of course, all of that goes right out the window if a crash happens. And looking at how they're racing, that is absolutely possible. Connor Morrison, that 6'2", has been minding his own business in the back. Let's see what's up with him. Fry Dog's in the house, while Dakota Pierce runs away from the oncoming MX-5s. Matt Seeger leads. They go 3 wide. There's a bit of disorder. There's a bit of chaos. 4 wide out of turn number 2. Elrich George on the outside trying to put on for his Bahamians. And the man from Nassau also flying the flag for the Caribbean. Just barely hangs on to that number 40 machine. Donald Ray, on the other hand, in the number 5. He sits second in line, just ahead of Briley Wright, and this guy here, Dakota Pierce, could make a big difference. The number 50 machine has all of these cars coming. Now, Dakota is 1 lap off the pace. So if a caution does come out, now he won't go a lap down. If he does go a lap down, he will be that lucky dog. He'll get his lap back. So he's not in a terrible bit of trouble. However, the draft that he's giving off to the cars in front is going to create an imbalance in these 2 lines. Pierce to the high side, but will he get out of the way effectively enough? There's Elrich George, who's behind the number 50. He's going to tuck back into line, back behind Pierce. 3 wide, and Pierce, the odd one out. George might be stuck behind Pierce. Emily Seeger's in the house. Fry Dog is in the house. Shout out to Closing Now TV. And then, of course, Tanner Lockhart in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in so far. We're almost to halfway. Drivers should be able to make it on fuel. But will they? Will the drivers in front make it on fuel as well? Matt Seeger in the 16 has been leading his respective line all race long. Is he going to stay up there? And of course, Ryan Pennell from nearby Hollywood, Florida, now leading the outside line with a bumper full of Elrich George. Let's go on board with the 12. Ryan Pennell almost getting knocked out of sorts there. Everybody back in working order. And just like the chat tells you, if you have a moment, check out Drip Diecast and Collectibles on eBay, your #1 online store for all sorts of NASCAR memorabilia. That's Drip Diecast and Collectibles on eBay, your #1 store for any sort of NASCAR memorabilia and more. They might even have MX-5s. Get a diecast for yourself, get a diecast for somebody you love. Valentine's Day's in 4 days. Maybe they can ship that fast. I don't know. Check it out. We'll see. I'm trying to see who's going to come into pit road first, who's going to duck first. If they survive that long, the bump drafting is really upsetting some of these race cars. You see the 2 Red Bull machines, the 5 of Ray, the 40 of George, and the 12 of Pennell. He's the odd one out in that line. Meanwhile, Seeger and Edwards side by side. You know, and that's a great question. Tanner Lockhart asks, is there any discount with the promo code Rick James? That's not a terrible idea. That's actually a really, really good idea. I got to talk to the folks at Drip and see what's up. We don't have a TNT race this Thursday, so the next time we'll find out if we can get a Rick James promo code. We'll go Monday nights. So next Monday, we'll be racing at the Monza road course with no chicanes. And then Thursday Night Thunder returns the Thursday after that at Rockingham. 22 laps about to be completed. Everybody running the bottom line, but look how wide they are. The way they just fly around the racetrack. You can just taste a crash coming, can't you? You can anticipate that coming along, and we'll see. We'll see who survives. Reminders, drivers do get 1 fast repair. If you're new to iRacing, a fast repair is exactly what it sounds like. A driver will repair their car quickly. They don't have to sit there and wait half an hour for the damage to be fixed. It's fixed in the blink of an eye, and next thing you know, the car's back out on the racetrack. We're up and running again. Tommy Withers in the number 6. On the inside of the 6'2 Duncan machine. Not anymore, though. That middle line is flying. Briley Wright leads the way in the number 0. Connor Morse in the 6'2 sits behind him, and Aaron Edwards in the number 1 Logitech machine wants to give a big push to Matt Seeger in the 16. Landon Marr continues to blink in the back. One of those Bluegrass Bandits as well, along with the 3 of Cody Riggs and the 0 of Briley Wright out of that 4th corner. This will complete halfway. The drivers can make it to the end from here on fuel. They were expected to go about 25 laps. We'll see who cuts it to halfway immediately. But, of course, these guys are on top of each other. So if there's going to be a wreck trying to come in and off of pit road, it's going to be this. It's going to be something hairy. Look at that, 4 wide with Dakota Pierce on the outside. He's removing himself from the situation. Do they wait? Are they patient? Who's going to crash on the way in? Everybody makes it through. Dakota Pierce might be a lap down, but he's not slow. How about Tommy Withers? Is he trying the Jeff Gordon line on the inside? Tommy Withers scrubbed off a bunch of speed. He's about to lose that race car. He's about to lose that race car. I told you. No, he saved it. Okay, he almost lost the race car. He proved me wrong, but he did scrub off a ton of speed right before green flag pit stops. He's going to lose so much time, it's unbelievable, and he's lost the draft as well. That little stunt in turn number 1 may have just cost Tommy Withers a chance to win this race. And then there's Landon Marr, who is not here more than he is here. Everybody's going to try and come down pit road. And let's find out who got a speeding penalty and who did not. Ryan Pennell, new leader in car number 12. Aaron Edwards in the 1 to his left-hand side, and the sun sets just over turn 2. Edwards is in. He's missed it. Has he missed it? Gosh, he flew in there. How did he make pit road? Elridge George is going to be your new leader, by the way. This guy's going to stretch it out as far as he can. on this run. McDonough behind him in that 39. And does Colin have the ace up his sleeve, saving as much fuel as he did? Remember, he spent the majority of his time at the back. I said the sun sets out of turn 2. Further proof I have no idea what I'm talking about because the sun is literally behind the front stretch. Don't listen to anything I say. It's all garbage. This is the battle for the lead. That's not garbage. Kentucky's Cody Riggs right now holding his own. But these two drivers have not pit. Toby Estes has pit. The 19 car pitted on lap 27. Definitely enough to make it. Here goes Colin McDonough and Cody Riggs. It's going to be 20 laps to go. Not this time, but next time by. Is Riggs going to come through? They're staying out. Riggs and McDonough staying out, and they're moving faster than Toby Estes in the 19. The lights just flickered on, and the race cars are going to be next. We're finishing this race under the cover of darkness with a well-lit racetrack, and get ready to see some sparks. 20 laps to go. The racing was 3 and 4 wide. Now it's single file because these guys at the back that have all pitted need to catch these guys that have not pitted. Cody Riggs and Colin McDonough. Can they organize themselves and move faster than Briley Wright, Matt Seeger, and everybody else behind them? They finally come into the pits. Cody Riggs almost misses the entrance. Did he come in too quickly? Colin McDonough sits behind him. Toby Estes leads this race. It's 20 to go. This time by, Aaron Edwards goes purple, 40-43. Four wide through turn 3. They've lost it now. They have no intention of finishing this race green. If they do, it'll be a miracle. I'll be surprised and thrilled, but it's not going to happen. Riley Wright, Tristan Catania, and Matt Seeger running 1, 2, 3 for now, but now it's Aaron Edwards in the 3rd position. And they're going to form 2 single file lines to race for the win. Cody Riggs, Colin McDonough, they are still in their tandem running 12th and 13th. Reminder, they pitted 3 laps later than everybody else. If this race goes to a green-white checker, they may have enough fuel to finish the race. The others might not. Wright leads in the number 0. Tristan Catania struggling to hold a line with no draft help in the Ally machine. 18 laps to go. Catania in the 48 by his lonesome, but doing his thing, side drafting off of the rest of these guys, and he's actually moving through the field. Tristan Catania on the outside of Briley Wright, who has vanished into thin air. There he is, that reliable Greensburg, Kentucky internet. Catapulting Briley Wright to the lead in this race. Matt Seeger in the 16 has been patient. The front of his race car is an absolute mess, though. Check this out. You're just waiting for it, aren't you? The 16 on the outside of the inside. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the 6 of Tommy Withers, the Sonic machine. The 16 is on what is now the right-hand side. Tommy Withers is trying to find a way around. Aaron Edwards is trying to force the line on the high side, but no one will yet draft with him. 15 laps to go this time by. Everyone can make it on fuel. So from here, it just becomes a waiting game at 128 simulated miles an hour. Let's go on board. The laps tick down, but how far will they make it? 15 cars started. Landon Mars still runs 5 laps off the pace. Dakota Pierce 1 lap off the pace. Elrich George making a part of this foursome here, spearheaded by Colin McDonough. Cody Riggs sits behind him. Jimmy Kerr 3rd in this line. This is 11th through... I'm sorry, 10th, excuse me. This is 10th through 13th. Toby Estes on the tail end of this pack. Not a bad place to be at a time like this. It's going to be 12 laps to go next time by. Just a brief look at the points here. You see Toby sits there in the back, minding his own business in car 19. He comes into this race 9th in the points, but the points are separated by 1 position. There's a 3-way tie for 5th and a tie for 3rd. Toby Estes could easily leapfrog into 3rd in the points. It's plausible. Noah Belleville, not in this race. Nick Pressey, not in this race. Cody Pennell, not in this race. Connor Knowlton, also absent. Brennan Forseal, also absent. The drivers that have showed up in tonight's race, regardless, are going to leapfrog in the points. Reminder, next week, the semi-final at Monza. Toby Estes could be setting himself up for a great finish to his Mazda Monday Season 4. Connor Morse, we got to fix this camera. God, these camera work sucks. I got to fire that guy. Connor Morse in that 6-2 on the outside of Briley Wright in the Zero Machine. They will drag race across the line. Connor Morse in that 6-2. Still 10 laps to go. Anything can happen here, and especially considering the laps are 42 seconds long. It is just the most careful bump drafting that can possibly be. Now, these guys at the back, they're all sitting in a single file. The gap between this pack here and this pack here continues to shrink. Morse in the 6-2 briefly gets ahead of Briley Wright in that 0. Matt Seeger in the 16 machine behind that 0 MX-5. Tristan Catania, he started in 9th. He sits right behind the 6-2 of Connor Morse. It will be 9 at the line. If you just tuned in, we've gone caution-free since we started, which is miraculous, to be fair. Will we end that way some 25 miles from now? I have no clue. But hey, if it happens, great. It's going to be a fantastic drag race to the end, no matter what happens. That's what you got to love about these little MX-5s, is that they, in such a small package, they deliver so much fun. There goes the 6-2 of Connor Morse. There's a bump draft. 6-2 gets turned around. What happened to the 6-2 of Connor Morse? Have a look. Oh, the 16 gets into the 0, and the 6-2 gets the short end of the stick. Watch this. Matt Seeger bumps into Briley Wright. Briley Wright gets into Connor Morse in that 62 Duncan machine. Morse, his race is done without a caution. Ryan Pennell now sits behind the 16 of Matt Seeger, and he will try to will him forward in these final 8 laps. And that's the brakes. That's honestly racing. And that's just a bad deal for Connor Morse. One more look. Have a look at the bump drafting here. You're going to see the 0 of Briley Wright just get right into Connor Morse in the 6-2. And that's going to do it for Morse. Right in the 0. I don't think he's won a Mazda Monday race yet. Well, this season, at least. Looking at the points, he comes into this race 14th, tied for 14th in the standings, with Connor Morse, as a matter of fact. So, at least we know Briley's going to move up in the points. However, it's 10th in the top 5 headed into next week's semifinal at Monza. Matt Seeger, on the other hand, he's got plans to win this one, too. He wants that Yoshi machine at the top by the end of this race. Grandma Jeannie cheering on for Briley Wright in that number 0 machine. And Matt Seeger, he's got no help. Let's go on board with the 1-6. Five to go. Grandma Cheney, no worry about that spell check. We know you meant Briley. Briley's surging to the lead right now. Tristan Catania bump drafting behind him. Matt Seeger now needs a big shove from the 1-2 of Ryan Pennell into turn number 3. It's going to be 4 laps to go this time by. They have run caution-free so far in this race. Let's see if they make it caution-free as well. Matt Seeger barely leads, but for somebody else's push, it could be anybody's race. Donald Ray could decide this race. Toby Estes could decide this. Cody Riggs, on the other hand, if a caution comes out, these 4 drivers, Riggs down to McDonough, they're back in contention. Anything is quite literally possible. 3 to go this time. One of these shots, we're going to fix that camera, I promise you. Three laps remains, what, fewer than 5 miles, if my math is correct. Seeger in the Yoshi machine leads Ryan Pennell in that 1-2 ARCS car, and then Briley Wright in that number 0, surging on the outside with Tristan Catania to help in the 48. And I just realized that 3 laps at 1.5 miles is not 5 miles. It's, what, 4.5 miles. It's going to be 3 miles to go this time by. I never said math was my strong suit. 2 laps remain at Homestead. Will they go 3 wide? Will they stay in 2 lines? Who's going to blink first? Who's going to make that move? You see Tristan Catania just trying to peek to the outside. He sits behind Briley Wright, but will he have a draft partner? Tommy Withers, 4th in line on the outside. He says, I'm sick of this. We have to move. Shout out to Ryan, who just followed here. Miss Moneypenny is in the chat as well, and my favorite DW sound in the world, 200 miles a damn hour. White flag is into the air, 1 1/2 miles to go. The Yoshi machine of Matt Seeger just leads Briley Wright, and Ryan Pennell sits 2nd in line. Aaron Edwards was sailing through the air at Indianapolis, and Tommy Withers wants to make him sail through the air again. Toby Estes on the outside, side drafting. Will he get around Briley Wright? He pushes Briley Wright in that 0. Matt Seeger needs help. Wright almost gets upset. His race is going to be done unless he gets big help. Donald Ray from Rockwall, Texas on the outside of that Yoshi machine. He wants the win. It will be a drag race for the win. Out of turn number 4, Matt Seeger has competition to the inside, outside, but it's Donald Ray who beats Matt Seeger to the line by 1/100th of a second at the line. Look at that, unofficially, by 5/1000ths of a second, Donald Ray beats Matt Seeger to the line. What a finish at Homestead, and what a perfectly timed run. Donald Ray got it done at Homestead. What a finish. See if he can manage some donuts in this car. Anyway, there's your race winner. We're going to go over this last lap one more time. And Donald Ray struggling. That's okay. We're going to go to... Don't worry about it, Jacket. He's going to jump to the pits. We're going to jump to this last lap. Check this out. White flag is out. Donald Ray is where? He is 6th in line, by the way. One more time. Here's the white flag. Donald Ray is 6th in line behind Briley Wright, and this is what he's looking at. Now he follows, Toby Estes, excuse me. He follows Toby Estes in that 0. I called him Briley Wright. And Toby Estes in the 19 is getting an unbelievable draft out of turn number 2. And then Donald Ray is getting the draft off of that. Look at the move. Briley Wright opens the door for Donald Ray, and I don't even think he knew what he was doing at that time. Watch again. Let's go to the top here. I think the bump draft was too much. Toby Estes tried to bump draft with Briley Wright. Watch the bump draft. The white car up front, the 0 car, gets upset at that bump, tries to block, and he pulls out at the last minute. I don't know if it was the bump draft or Briley just tried to block and then pulled out once he realized he was too late. But from there, Donald Ray surges ahead. He gets a big bump from the 0, and here is the drag race to the line. Donald Ray by 5/1000ths of a second at Homestead. We're going to talk to him, Matt Seeger, and Briley Wright. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be back with our podium in just a second. on the podium with our top three, starting with the pride of Greensburg, Kentucky. One Briley right in that number 0 machine. Briley, you had a shot to win it when the last lap, when the white flag flew.
Yeah, we tried to do it for the Be Thick Booty Cream, Old Glory Screaming Eagle Mazda tonight. It was running up front most of the race because of how talented I am. But no, I'll take a P3. I'd rather win. But what they say about third place, it's like kissing a hot stepsister or something like that. So, and I don't really mind that. So, but all in all, it was a pretty good race there, Rick James.
That's something. That's definitely something. All right. Anyway, Matt Seeger, you had a legitimate chance to win this race when the white flag flew. And jokes aside, did you think it was going to be Donald Ray? Because he came out of absolutely nowhere. You were planning to beat Briley right when the white flag flew.
Yeah, I had no idea that. I didn't know who was on my outside. I knew that we were like 4 wide or something like that down the backstretch, and I was just trying to hold the bottom and keep as much momentum as I could to the line. Pinnell jumped out of 4, and that kind of killed my momentum, and I was kind of just along for it there. It sucks, really sucks to be that close, but you know what? That was a lot of fun and good win for Donald Ray.
Let's talk to Donald Ray. When's the last time you stood on the top step of the podium, Jacket? That white flag came out, and you said you were going to win the race. You were 6th in line behind Toby Estes when the white flag flew, and a mile and a half later, it just seems like everything fell into place.
Yeah, Rick, so to answer your first question, last time I was on the podium was the last Mazda race. I think I won it, the last one I ran. But so I'm batting 100 right now in Mazda. I've only been able to race 2 weeks, and been fortunate enough to grab the checkered first. And early on, I was just planning on working with Seeger. I mean, he was able to run a good line. I was comfortable running behind him and pushing him, and I think he led quite a few laps there on the outside to start the race. And I really wasn't expecting to win that. I couldn't believe it when they parted the seas there and left that middle wide open, and I had a good run coming off of Toby's draft. I was expecting Briley when he came down to actually stay there, which I'd have been fine with it. I was just going to check up enough just to drop in behind him and push him to the win, but I think he got a little nervous, which I don't blame him. Coming to the checkered flag, most people are going to get nervous when somebody's got to run and you jump out in front of them like that, so he probably made the right move in his mind, and it probably was for most people. But with me coming up behind him, I wasn't going to wreck him. I was just going to push him to the win. But thanks to him for getting out of the way and letting me have that one.
You didn't have to wreck him. I think you rattled his cage, and he got out of the way going into turn number 3, and now you're on the top step of the podium. We're going to keep screwing around with these little go-karts for 2 more weeks. We're going to Monza next week with 0 chicanes. You going to join us for the chaos?
Man, I actually just bought Monza, yesterday, and ran a little bit of prototypes in it, and it seems like a really fun track. I don't know what the track looks like without the chicanes, but if it's the one chicane I'm thinking about coming down the front stretch, that one's pretty tough, but the rest of the track seems pretty easy. So, yeah, look forward to it.
Look forward to seeing you there next week, man. Shout out to everybody at the Ray family, man, and we'll see you in a week's time. Congratulations.
All right, Rick. Thanks, buddy.
Fans at home, we kind of cobbled that together, but we pulled it together. But that's MX5, right? We throw crap together and we'll see what sticks, and we stuck 50 laps of racing. I'm actually really impressed at the way that all of this turned out. It went caution-free for 35 laps, and Donald Ray ends up being your race winner. In a week's time, we're going to Monza. That's going to be a blast. No chicanes. We're going to send the MX-5s down there, and it's going to be amazing. So next Monday night, stick with us. The Mazda MX-5s at the Monza circuit with no chicanes. That's going to be right here, Rick James TV, 8:40 Eastern. And then, of course, Thursday Night Thunder, Round 3, the Gen 4 cars at Rockingham. Not this Thursday, but the Thursday after next. Shout out to all the folks at Drip Diecast and Collectibles. Shout out for you for tuning in, for giving us just 5 seconds of your time for this this poorly cobbled together racing league that we love so much. But we love the MX5, so thank you for coming around and playing with us. Until that next race, stay safe, take care of each other, and we will see you all around the corner.